The night sky was no longer silent. Across the world, millions of people stared upward in shock and fear. At first, the bright lights looked like falling stars, but soon they realized the truth. These were not meteors. They were ships, giant ships dark as shadows covering the heavens like storm clouds. Humanity had waited for years wondering if aliens truly existed. Tonight, the answer had arrived. Governments scrambled to respond. The United Nations called for an emergency broadcast. Soldiers were placed on high alert, and leaders of nations stayed awake through the long night. But no matter how prepared they tried to be, the sheer size of the alien fleet was overwhelming. Hundreds of massive vessels hung above Earth's orbit, their glowing engines burning like suns. Then came the message. A deep, rumbling voice echoed through every device. Televisions, radios, even phones. The aliens did not need translators. Somehow their words carried perfectly in every language at once. "People of Earth," the voice declared, "we are the Zorath. Your world now belongs to us. You have two choices: surrender peacefully or face destruction." The message repeated again and again, until every person across the globe had heard it. Fear spread quickly. Families gathered, in their homes, some weeping, some silent. In cities, crowds filled the streets, staring at the alien shadows blotting out the stars. The Zorath were massive, ancient, and clearly far more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. Their ships dwarfed Earth's largest skyscrapers. The invaders expected humanity to bow. They had done this before on other worlds, worlds where frightened populations surrendered without resistance. But Earth was different. Inside the United Nations headquarters, world leaders argued. Some believed surrender was the only chance to survive. Others stood up in anger. One representative slammed his fist on the table. "No," he said firmly. "We will not bow. We will not be slaves. If they want a war, they will have it." Across the planet, the same fire lit in ordinary hearts. In small towns and great cities alike, people whispered the same words: "We will not surrender." In the United States, an Air Force general spoke to his troops. "They think we are weak," he told them. "They think we will kneel. But humans are not weak. We adapt, we fight, and we never stop." In Asia, Europe, Africa, and every corner of the globe, similar speeches echoed. For the first time in human history, nations stopped looking at each other as enemies. They looked upward, at the same great shadow, and saw the same threat. Unity was born in fire. Scientists worked through the night, calculating ways to defend against the enormous fleet. Engineers studied every weapon humanity had, from missiles to lasers, searching for weaknesses in the alien defenses. Civilians volunteered to build bunkers, gather supplies, or join militias. Even children felt the tension, asking their parents if the world was ending. But the world was not ending. It was changing. The Zorath made their second broadcast. This time the voice carried amusement as if mocking the human spirit. "You refuse to kneel? Then you will be crushed. Your cities will burn, your armies will fall, and your people will serve us in chains. Your resistance will not last a day." The fleet shifted in orbit, preparing for its first strike. Giant landing craft began to descend toward Earth. The alien commanders expected quick victory, but humanity was not waiting helplessly. In underground bases, fighter pilots prepared their jets. In secret labs, scientists rushed to develop countermeasures. Hackers tapped into communication networks trying to disrupt alien signals. Across the world, humans, ordinary humans, picked up weapons, ready to defend their homes. Something stirred in the hearts of billions. It was not just fear, it was anger. It was determination. Humanity had always been underestimated by stronger forces. Nature had tried to destroy them with ice ages, earthquakes, and storms. Empires had tried to break them with cruelty and war. Yet every time humans survived. Every time they rose stronger. Now they faced a challenge greater than any before. A powerful alien empire demanding their surrender. But humans were stubborn. Humans were defiant. And humans were ready to show the Zorath that Earth would not fall easily. In the deserts of Africa, soldiers set up hidden missile batteries. In the frozen north, submarines prepared their torpedoes. On islands, jungles, and cities alike, people whispered to one another, fight, resist, endure. The night sky blazed with alien lights, but far below, the fires of human courage burned just as brightly. The Zorath had expected a world that would bend without question. Instead, they had awakened a united humanity, one ready to fight for survival, one ready to prove that this small blue planet was not so easily conquered. The first alien landing ships tore through the atmosphere like burning meteors. Their hulls glowed red with heat as they descended toward Earth. People in every city looked up in fear. Some screamed, some prayed, and some clenched their fists, waiting. The Zorath had arrived to show humanity the price of defiance. The first target was a major coastal city. The aliens wanted an example, a demonstration of their power. From their ship's underbelly, beams of light lanced downward, cutting across the skyline. Buildings crumbled, bridges collapsed, and the ground shook with the force of their weapons. The Zorath commanders expected panic. They expected humans to scatter like frightened animals. But the defenders had been waiting. Hidden, on the rooftops and in the shadows of the city, human soldiers activated their anti-aircraft missiles. They had studied the alien landing ships during their descent. The ships were powerful but not invincible. Their shields flickered whenever they fired their main weapons. That was the moment to strike. Now, a commander shouted. Dozens of missiles launched at once. Trails of smoke streaked the sky. The alien ship tried to raise its shields, but the timing was perfect. The missiles slammed into the vulnerable spot, and a massive explosion followed. The crowd on the ground erupted, in cheers as the great alien ship broke apart in flames. Humanity had scored its first victory. The Zorath were surprised. On most worlds, their first strike ended the fight. But here, the humans had studied them carefully and used clever tactics. What the aliens thought would be a quick lesson in obedience turned into their first defeat. Across the world, more battles broke out. In the deserts, armored convoys of human tanks ambushed landing craft. In the oceans, submarines rose from the depths to fire torpedoes at alien destroyers. In the forests and mountains, guerrilla fighters used the terrain to launch hit-and-run attacks. The Zorath had the advantage in technology. Their energy weapons could level cities, and their ships could move faster than any human craft. But the humans had something else: creativity. They adapted instantly, finding weaknesses and turning the smallest tools into deadly weapons. In one battle, engineers hacked into alien drones by using old satellite networks, turning the machines against their masters. In another, pilots lured alien fighters into a canyon where they crashed against the rocks. Everywhere, the aliens met resistance they had never seen before. The Zorath commanders grew frustrated. They had expected Earth to fall in a single day. Instead, the war was spreading, and every battle was costing them soldiers and machines. 1. Alien officer snarled at his superior. They are not advanced, their weapons are primitive, how are they resisting us? The answer was simple, though the aliens did not understand it. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting not only enemies but also nature itself. Every storm, every flood, every disease had been a battle for survival. Humanity had learned to endure, to adapt, and to keep fighting even when the odds were impossible. In one village near the front lines, ordinary civilians refused to run. Farmers and hares took up old hunting rifles, blocking the alien troops from advancing. Though they had little chance, their bravery slowed the Zorath long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Such acts of courage inspired others, fueling a fire that spread across continents. Soon resistance was everywhere. The aliens could not land without facing ambushes. Their patrols vanished into jungles. Their supply lines were cut by daring raids. One young human pilot became famous after downing 3 alien fighters in a single night. When asked how he managed it, he only smiled and said, "I made them chase me where I wanted them to go." His story spread like lightning, proving to the people that victory was possible. The Zorath grew more cautious. Their pride had been wounded. For centuries they had ruled by fear, but fear was not working here. Instead of crushing the human spirit, their violence only made it stronger. On the ground, human leaders broadcast messages of hope. "We are not fighting for one nation," one general said. "We are fighting for Earth, for every family, every home, every future. Remember this, they thought we would surrender. Show them they were wrong." Every word inspired more men and women to join the fight. Scientists worked side by side with soldiers. Hackers worked with pilots. Engineers worked with farmers. Humanity was no longer divided by borders. It was united by survival. By the end of the first week, the Zorath had lost more ships than they had in the last 10 campaigns combined. They still held superior firepower, but they were beginning to understand the truth. Conquering Earth would not be easy. As night fell after another day of battle, fires burned in the distance. The alien fleet still hovered above, silent and menacing. But on the ground, humans did not tremble. They looked upward with fierce eyes, their resolve unbroken. The Zorath had expected humanity's surrender. Instead, they had awakened a world willing to fight with every breath. The war spread across every continent. Cities burned, skies filled with fire, and oceans churned with warships. The Zorath believed they still held the advantage. Their fleet circled the Earth like a steel cage, and their commanders promised that humanity would eventually break. But as days turned into weeks, something unexpected began to happen. Humanity did not grow weaker. Humanity grew stronger. At first, humans had fought with fear. Every battle was desperate, every strike a gamble. But now the soldiers, scientists, and ordinary people began to learn. Each skirmish taught them more about the alien weapons, the alien ships, and the alien weaknesses. Mistakes turned into lessons, and lessons turned into strategies. In Europe, a team of engineers studied the wreckage of a fallen Zorath fighter. Its technology was far beyond human science, yet the engineers refused to give up. Within days, they managed to power the alien engine. Soon after, human pilots were flying stolen alien craft against the invaders. In South America, hackers broke into the alien communication system. For the first time, they intercepted enemy orders, learning exactly where the next attack would fall. This knowledge saved thousands of lives and allowed the resistance to prepare devastating ambushes. In Asia, underground tunnels became secret bases. From there, guerrilla fighters struck at alien patrols before vanishing back into the Earth. In Africa, entire communities joined together, building traps and defenses with simple tools but clever minds. Everywhere the Zorath turned, humans were ready. One alien commander studied the battle reports and felt confusion. "They should be collapsing under pressure," he growled. "Why are they growing stronger?" His advisor gave a grim answer. "Because that is what they are. They adapt. They survive. The harder we push them, the harder they fight." This was a truth the Zorath had never faced before. Most worlds they conquered had fallen into despair after the first attack. Their people gave up, surrendering without hope. But humanity was different. Every act of destruction only gave them more reason to fight back. The world united in ways no one had imagined possible. Nations that once distrusted one another now shared weapons, soldiers, and intelligence. Scientists from rival countries worked side by side. Old enemies became allies overnight. Humanity's greatest weakness, its divisions, was now its greatest strength. In one decisive battle, the Zorath attempted to seize control of Earth's largest satellite network. They hoped to blind the humans by cutting off communication. But the humans had already prepared. A team of astronauts, risking everything, boarded an orbital station with improvised weapons. In a fierce fight, they drove the Zorath soldiers back into space and took control of the station. With that victory, humans gained a vantage point above the Earth, giving them new eyes to track the alien fleet. Stories of bravery spread quickly. A single submarine captain destroyed 2 alien cruisers by luring them into shallow waters where they could not maneuver. A group of farmers built a rail-mounted cannon from scrap metal and managed to cripple a landing craft. A schoolteacher turned resistance leader led her students in coding signals that disrupted alien drones. These stories inspired others, reminding everyone that no matter how small their role, every act mattered. The Zorath felt something they had not known in centuries: fear. Still, they were powerful. Their fleet remained enormous and their weapons still outclassed human technology. But the tide was shifting. For the first time in history, humans were not only defending but also striking back. In a daring operation, human forces launched a counterattack against a key alien base in the Pacific. Pilots flew both human jets and captured alien fighters, weaving together in the sky. Missiles streaked upward, while ground troops advanced through the smoke. After hours of brutal fighting, the alien base fell into human hands. Inside, they discovered something even more valuable: alien data cores filled with information about Zorath technology and strategy. That night, scientists pored over the data, realizing that the aliens were not invincible. Their weapons, while powerful, had flaws. Their shields drained massive amounts of energy, leaving them vulnerable during long battles. Their fleets relied on a few command ships for coordination. If those were destroyed, the rest would be thrown into confusion. The realization spread quickly: humanity could win. On alien command ships, panic began to grow. Reports showed losses far higher than expected. The humans were supposed to be primitive, but they were fighting with the skill of a species that refused to die. One alien admiral gave a warning to his superiors: "If we cannot crush them soon, they will rise against us in ways we cannot control." But the Zorath leadership ignored him. They believed victory was still certain. They did not understand that the war had already changed. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival alone. Humanity was fighting to prove itself. As dawn broke on another day of war, the skies were filled with both human and alien craft. Cities rebuilt defenses, armies trained harder, and civilians turned into warriors. The world was scarred, but its spirit was unbroken. The Zorath had expected Earth to fall. Instead, Earth was rising. And soon, the invaders would learn that they were not fighting a weak species at all. They were fighting humanity, the most stubborn, relentless, and unyielding species in the galaxy. The Zorath were growing desperate. Their attacks had failed to break human defenses, and every victory they had expected slipped through their fingers. They began concentrating their fleet for one massive strike, a final push to crush Earth once and for all. Giant ships formed a shadow over every major city, their weapons glowing like stars ready to burn. But humanity was ready. Months of secret planning had led to the creation of a weapon no alien had ever imagined. Deep in hidden orbital stations, engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked tirelessly on a massive railgun. Unlike traditional missiles, this weapon could launch projectiles at incredible speeds, faster than any alien shield could react. It was humanity's gamble, their secret hope. Ordinary people contributed too. Civilians helped carry supplies, assemble components, and provide food for the workers. Even in the midst of war, humans found ways to cooperate, proving that unity could overcome even the most impossible challenges. In the skies above, human pilots flew patrols, guarding the orbital stations. The railgun would only work if the stations remained intact. Every alien scout they destroyed brought them closer to their goal. Every small victory gave them hope. The Zorath fleet approached the Pacific, where one of the railgun stations had been secretly built in orbit. Thousands of alien fighters moved to destroy it before it could be fired. They expected the humans to panic. They expected surrender. Instead, humanity fought harder than ever. Jets swirled around the alien craft, dodging energy blasts and firing missiles with precision. Human pilots knew every move of the enemy because scientists had predicted their tactics using intercepted data. On the ground, command centers coordinated every strike. Engineers sent rapid updates to the orbital stations, ensuring the railgun could be fired with perfect accuracy. It was a dance of strategy and courage, one that the Zorath had not anticipated. Finally, the moment came. The railgun charged, its massive energy building inside the hidden station. Outside, the alien fleet had formed a perfect target. Human commanders held their breath as the countdown began. Fire! A projectile shot from the railgun at unimaginable speed. It streaked through the blackness of space, unstoppable, straight toward the largest Zorath command ship. The aliens did not have time to react. The projectile struck, ripping through the hull and exploding in a blinding flash. Chaos erupted in the Zorath fleet. Without their command ship, their formations collapsed. Pilots were confused, ships collided, and energy weapons misfired. The humans seized the moment, launching coordinated attacks across the globe. In Asia, armies surrounded alien ground troops, forcing them to retreat. In Africa, guerrilla fighters ambushed the remaining landing craft, capturing vital technology. In Europe and the Americas, humans used hijacked alien ships to attack their former masters. The tide had turned completely. The invaders were no longer the hunters, they were the hunted. Even the youngest soldiers felt the change. A group of recruits in South America cheered as they watched alien troops retreat, realizing that the impossible had become reality. Humanity had not only survived but had struck a devastating blow against their advanced enemy. The Zorath, once confident in their superiority, now faced a species that refused to bow. Every attempt at intimidation had failed. Every attack had been met with counterattack, clever strategies, and bravery that defied logic. High above the Earth, the railgun stations continued to fire, targeting remaining alien ships with deadly precision. Every strike demonstrated a new truth. Technology alone did not make a species powerful. Courage, creativity, and unity mattered even more. On the ground, leaders broadcast messages of hope and strategy, ensuring that every human on Earth knew their role in the fight. Farmers, teachers, students, engineers, and soldiers all felt part of something larger than themselves. Each action, no matter how small, was a blow against the invaders. The Zorath fleet, once the image of invincible power, was now broken. Ships burned in the atmosphere, fighters plummeted into oceans, and their forces scattered in disarray. They had underestimated humanity, believing a primitive species could not fight back. They had been wrong. As night fell, humans looked up at the stars with a mixture of awe and determination. The war was not over, but the impossible had already been achieved. Humanity had revealed its secret weapon, not just the railgun, but the spirit of people willing to fight for every inch of their home. The Zorath had arrived expecting surrender. Instead, they were forced to retreat, humbled by a species that would not yield. And deep inside every human heart, a new hope burned. The universe had learned a lesson. Earth belonged to humans, and humans would defend it at any cost. The Zorath fleet was in retreat. Once proud and unstoppable, their ships now limped back into the void of space. Humanity had done what no other species had done. They had resisted and defeated an alien empire. Yet the humans did not celebrate recklessly. They knew this victory was only the beginning of a new era. Across Earth, cities were scarred but alive. Smoke rose from battlefields, and the ground still bore the marks of war. Families hugged one another, tears of relief and joy mixing with the dirt and dust. Soldiers returned to their homes, exhausted but proud. Civilians cleaned streets, rebuilt homes, and shared stories of courage from the front lines. Even though the Zorath were gone for now, humanity understood the lesson clearly. The universe was vast, and other powerful civilizations might arrive, one day. But now, Earth had proven something important, not only to the stars but to itself. Humans were not a species to be underestimated. In the weeks that followed, scientists studied captured alien technology. Ships were examined, weapons were tested, and strategies were recorded. Humanity learned faster than the Zorath had ever imagined. This knowledge would prepare them for any future threats and inspire generations to come. Leaders of nations came together to form a council stronger than any before. They shared resources, knowledge, and defense plans. Humanity had discovered that unity was more powerful than any weapon. The divisions that had once caused wars among humans were replaced with collaboration and purpose. Stories of bravery spread across every corner of the globe. Ordinary people who had acted courageously became heroes. A schoolteacher who had led children in coding attacks on alien drones became a symbol of ingenuity. Farmers who built hidden defenses were celebrated as inventors of clever tactics. Young pilots who had risked their lives to hijack alien craft were honored for their daring. But the greatest victory was in the human spirit itself. People had learned that no matter how powerful the enemy, courage, unity, and determination could overcome it. Humanity had not only defended its planet, but had also proven a truth the Zorath had never understood. A species willing to fight for freedom could achieve the impossible. In orbit, the railgun stations were dismantled carefully, their energy stored for future protection. The same humans who had fought tirelessly also rebuilt satellites and communication networks. Their focus was not revenge, but preparedness and peace. The lesson of the war had shown them that power without purpose could destroy, but power with unity could protect. Across oceans and continents, humans looked up at the night sky differently. Stars were no longer distant lights. They were potential homes, places to explore, and reminders of the vastness of the universe. Humanity's eyes were open now, not with fear, but with hope and ambition. Meanwhile, the Zorath returned to their own territory, shocked and humbled. Their leaders had underestimated humanity. They had expected fear and submission, but they had found courage and resistance instead. Rumors of humanity's tenacity spread throughout the galaxy. Other civilizations that had once thought Earth an easy conquest began to reconsider. Humans were no longer the weak species. They were now a force to be respected. Back on Earth, children played in parks, unaware of the details of battles but sensing the new freedom. Adults rebuilt homes, worked in laboratories, and wrote stories about the war. Music, art, and culture flourished even amid the scars. Humanity had survived not by avoiding conflict but by facing it head-on, and that spirit infused every part of life. A general who had led the first counterattacks addressed the world. We were told we would fall. We were told we were weak. We proved them wrong. This planet belongs to us, and this moment belongs to every human who refused to give up. Remember this feeling, for it is proof of what we can achieve together. The message spread like wildfire. Humanity had discovered a new identity, not just as survivors but as defenders, inventors, and pioneers. The Zorath had come expecting surrender, but they had awakened something much greater, a species that would never back down. In the quiet moments after the war, when the sun rose over battle-scarred cities, humans looked forward. They repaired, rebuilt, and dreamed of exploration. Space programs expanded rapidly. Scientists and engineers worked to create faster ships, safer cities, and stronger defenses. Humanity was no longer just a planet-bound species. It was preparing to be a galactic presence. The war had ended, but the legend of Earth had begun. Stories of the human victory spread not only across the planet, but eventually across the stars. Humanity had faced annihilation, had been tested in ways no other species had, and had triumphed. The Zorath had left, but the universe had learned a lasting lesson. Humans were not to be conquered, not to be underestimated, and not to be forgotten. Their courage, unity, and determination echoed across the cosmos. And as humanity looked to the stars, they understood something deeper than victory. This was only the beginning of their journey, and nothing, not even the most powerful aliens, could stop them from rising higher than ever before.